Your dog chose you, not the other way around. You walked into that shelter or met that breeder, and you think you made the decision. But something happened in those first few seconds that had nothing to do with logic. Your dog looked at you and decided you were safe. They made a calculation faster than you could process it, reading signals you didn't know you were sending. What if everything you think about that choice is backwards? Subscribe to the channel because what you're about to learn will completely change how you see the relationship you're in right now. Number 1. The recognition moment. Your dog knew you before you knew yourself. In the first 30 seconds of meeting you, they processed over 300 data points about your emotional state, stress levels, and behavioral patterns. Studies published in behavioral psychology journals show that dogs evaluate human cortisol levels through scent, pupil dilation through direct eye contact, and micro-expressions in facial muscles that even other humans miss. They're reading the chemical signature of your sweat, the tension in your shoulders, the speed of your breathing. What they're looking for isn't perfection. They're looking for predictability. Your dog chose you because something about your emotional baseline matched a template in their brain for safety. And that template was built from thousands of years of domestication, selecting for dogs who could read human emotional states with precision. When your dog first approached you, their amygdala was processing threat assessment, while their prefrontal cortex was measuring your capacity for bonding. They weren't looking for the happiest person in the room. They were looking for the person whose emotional frequency they could sync with, whose patterns they could learn, whose needs they could anticipate. This recognition happened in less time than it takes you to decide if you like someone's handshake. Number 2. The compatibility algorithm. Your dog's brain runs a biological matching system that makes human dating apps look primitive. Research from canine ethologists shows that dogs select humans based on energy level compatibility, with their nervous systems literally measuring whether your baseline arousal state matches their own temperament. A high-energy dog doesn't choose a calm person by accident. They're choosing someone whose adrenaline patterns, movement speed, and vocal pitch suggest they can keep up with the dog's need for stimulation. An anxious dog doesn't attach to the loudest person. They attach to someone whose parasympathetic nervous system shows signs of regulation. Someone who breathes slowly, whose heart rate stays steady, whose hands move with deliberate calm. Your dog is reading autonomic nervous system signals you can't fake. When they sat next to you instead of the person offering treats, they weren't being random. They detected something in your biochemistry that signaled you were their match. Dogs have 4 times the olfactory receptors you do, and they're using them to smell stress hormones, reading whether you're someone who panics or someone who problem solves. The dog that picked you made a bet on your nervous system's ability to co-regulate with theirs, to calm them when they're anxious or energize them when they're bored. Number 3. The need recognition. Your dog chose you because they saw something you needed that you hadn't admitted to yourself yet. Behavioral scientists have documented that dogs preferentially bond with humans showing signs of loneliness, isolation, or emotional need, selecting people who will create strong attachment bonds because both parties have something to gain. Your dog wasn't looking for someone who had everything figured out. They were looking for someone who had space in their life for the kind of relationship dogs specialize in. The kind that requires daily presence, routine interaction, mutual dependency. When your dog approached you, they were measuring gap size, the distance between your current emotional state and your capacity for connection. They detected that gap through hormone signatures, through the way you touched them, through how long you maintained eye contact before looking away. Dogs who've been in shelters get exceptionally good at this assessment because their survival depends on choosing a human who won't bring them back. They're selecting for humans who need them as much as they need the human, because that's the bond that holds. Your dog saw someone who would show up every day, not because you're naturally disciplined, but because their presence would become the structure your life was missing. Number 4. The safety calculation. Your dog chose you because you passed a threat assessment their ancestors spent 15,000 years perfecting. Research shows that dogs evaluate humans for aggression markers within the first 5 seconds of contact, measuring hand speed, vocal pitch variability, and spatial pressure to determine if you're safe to be vulnerable around. They're not looking for someone who's never angry. They're looking for someone whose anger is predictable, whose frustration doesn't spike into violence, whose voice might get loud, but whose hands stay controlled. Your dog read your muscle tension, the way you approached them, whether you cornered them or gave them space to approach you. They measured your blink rate, your breathing pattern, the chemicals your skin released when you felt nervous or excited. What they were calculating was this: can I sleep next to this person without constantly monitoring for danger? The dog that chose you decided yes. They decided your threat level was low enough that they could redirect the energy they'd normally spend on vigilance toward building attachment instead. When your dog relaxes completely in your presence, belly exposed, eyes half closed, they're showing you the result of that initial safety calculation. They bet their survival on your emotional stability. And every day they stay relaxed around you is them doubling down on that bet. Number 5. The purpose assignment. Your dog chose you because they saw a job they could do for you that would make them irreplaceable. Studies from animal behavior researchers show that dogs evaluate humans for need gaps, identifying whether you need companionship, protection, structure, or motivation. And they select humans whose needs match their behavioral strengths. A herding breed doesn't choose someone who wants a lap dog. They choose someone whose life is chaotic enough that the dog's need for order and control will be valued rather than punished. A retriever doesn't pick someone who hates playing. They pick someone whose energy and enthusiasm makes fetch feel like collaboration. Your dog is assigning themselves a role in your life, and they chose you because your life had a slot they could fill better than anyone else. They're reading your daily patterns, measuring how much time you spend alone, whether you exercise regularly, if your routine has gaps they could occupy. When your dog inserts themselves into your morning routine or positions themselves between you and the door, they're not being randomly clingy. They're fulfilling the purpose they assigned themselves when they first chose you. The job they decided would make you need them enough to never leave. Your dog picked you because they saw exactly how to become essential to you. Number 6. The growth potential. Your dog chose you because they detected something in you that hasn't fully emerged yet. A version of yourself they can help you become. Behavioral research shows that dogs preferentially bond with humans who are in transition periods, life stages where identity is flexible and new patterns are possible, because those are the humans most likely to reorganize their lives around the dog. Your dog didn't choose you despite your flaws or limitations. They chose you because those limitations created the exact conditions for the kind of transformation dogs facilitate. The person who's never had to care for another living thing, who's always put work first, who's forgotten how to play. That's who dogs choose, because that's who has the most room to grow into the relationship. When your dog forces you outside for walks when you'd rather stay in, when they demand attention when you're lost in your phone, when they refuse to let you skip routines, they're not being difficult. They're doing the job they saw on day one. The job of pulling you toward a version of yourself that's more present, more consistent, more connected. Your dog made a bet that you had the capacity to become the person they needed, and they chose you specifically because that gap between who you are and who you could be was the perfect size for a dog to bridge. Every behavior your dog showed you in those first moments, the way they approached, the speed they warmed up, the specific person they chose from a room full of options, it was all data collection for a decision they were making about their entire future. Your dog chose you because you passed tests you didn't know you were taking, because your biochemistry signaled compatibility, because your emotional needs matched their behavioral strengths, because the life you were living had a dog-sized hole they could fill. When your dog curls up against you at the end of a long day, they're not just seeking warmth, they're confirming the decision they made when they first met you, checking that the safety they detected is still there, that the purpose they assigned themselves still matters, that the person they chose is still choosing them back. You didn't rescue your dog. You were matched with them through a biological algorithm more sophisticated than anything humans have built. Share this with someone who needs to understand their dog better. Subscribe to the channel because we're here to decode everything your dog is trying to tell you. The relationship you're in right now started with your dog choosing you, and understanding why changes everything about how you choose them back.